Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Lisa Palmer, Dr. Mama Bear. I'm coming to you live from Mama Bear Live, Instagram, Telegram, all the grams on water, and women's health. So if you notice that my titles all have the same starting letter, and that I love doing that because it allows me to have various themes in one live. And I love to talk about the most common things I get from students and what's happening in the world and all that good stuff. Hi, Eden. Hi, Emily. Good to see you guys. They're good. Thank you for joining me. If I'm coming through Facebook land, let me know. I've been having difficulties with that stream lately. So let me know. Hey, Cam. I'm glad you're there. Awesome. Hopefully you can hear me okay and we don't have any weird metallic robot sounds this week. Hi, Jody. Super excited to have you guys attend our Quantum Nutrition Academy, our Quantum Nutrition Seminar that March. We're looking at securing our space for our summer classes as well, and the class is full. So that's cool, but then also it's fresh because I know there's a lot of people that want to attend. So thank you for letting me know you can hear me loud and clear. And Cam says my sound is wacky again. It's not good since I'm having face issues and tech support is not here. So I'm going to just handle this. Okay, so you guys should be able to hear me. Can everybody hear me now? Are we good? So Twitch is twitchy. I think the audio is, my mic doesn't seem to be set up correctly. Instagram, you guys can hear me because I'm streaming on a different device for you guys. Magpie says, sound is back. Melinda says, yes. Alyssa McCool, hey, McCool says, much better, awesome. That's fine, you can read lips. Hi, everybody. Okay, good. We got yeses, good to go. So tonight's title is War, Water, and Women's Health. And, obviously what's happening in the Ukraine has concerns. There's different viewpoints on what's happening. My husband's viewpoint is that Trump and Putin are cleaning up the swamp, and that is having to do with the powers, the sons of powers that be that own power companies that may be having interests in the Ukraine or have interest in the Ukraine. So that could be it. But I have some patients that are freaking out about what's going on, and they want to go live off the grid, and they want to have bomb shelters, and they want to just kind of like hide in a cave. And I totally get that. There's been times where I was like, okay, well, maybe we should get property in Tennessee or Idaho or Utah or Wisconsin or Nebraska, or I don't even know where. Where would you go? Like, where is like off the grid? Where would you guys consider off the grid? And then I thought, well, we're in Florida. Maybe off the grid is you get into a boat and you take a boat to a different island or a different place or a different country. But then where would you go, right? Like which country would be secure? Which island would you consider? I don't have answers to that question. Hey, Kaylee. I don't have answers to that question. And so for me, I try not to live in fear. I think fear is a very dangerous place to hang out. And so I always look at what I can do. What can you do? Okay. Do you have prepper food? Do you have flashlights? Do you have a first aid kit? Do you have food to last a certain amount of time? Do you have the ability to run power? Do you have a generator? Do you know how to use your generator? Do you have a backup generator? You know, what kind of things do you have? And then I was a Girl Scout, so I don't know if any of you guys were Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts, so you can let me know. The Girl Scout motto, if you guys remember, the Girl Scout motto is be prepared. So for me, I always feel better if I'm prepared for the week. I'm prepared for my patients. I'm prepared. I order groceries and to be prepared for dinners for my family. Tonight was Taco Tuesday, so we had ground bison with some guacamole, some organic sour cream, some organic cheese. Leah, who knew? Ethan, I'm going to blame this on you. She likes hot sauce with sour cream. I saw her pouring it in her plate, and I'm like, are you sure that's a good idea? And she likes it. So that's cool. And then I stepped aside to come set up everything for you guys. And when I returned, she had sour cream all over her lip, in her face, in her chin. And she told me that she was shaving, like she was pretending to be daddy, but she did it with sour cream, which was very adorable, but then also very messy. So be prepared, right? Be prepared with your food, be prepared with supplies, be prepared with flashlights, be as prepared as you can. Does that mean find a place to live off the grid? Maybe that's prepared for you. Does that mean that you have a secondary place to go if the poop hits the fan? Maybe that's prepared for you. What does that look like for us? I don't know. We have friends in all over all areas of the country. So maybe that looks like getting in the car. Maybe that looks like staying put. Maybe that looks like, I don't know. There's times, and I don't know if you guys feel this way too, but there's times where I wish I had a crystal ball and I could be like, okay, well, it looks like this is going to happen. And it looks like this guy who's making this announcement is going to say this. And it looks like this is the reason for this. And in some ways it could be very cool. And then other ways, I think it would be really, really, really boring. And why would it be boring? If you've seen the movie Groundhog Day, right? What happens in that movie? The main actor wakes up. He has a sequence of events. He goes to bed. He wakes up the next day. He has a sequence of events, same events, like to the point where he knows that this person's going to spill their coffee. This person's going to have this happen. This person's going to have this happen. And every day, the same exact events happen. So if you had a crystal ball and you could predict the future, you would already know like what's going to happen to your kid. You would already know what's going to happen to your job. You would already know what's going to happen with what's happening in the Ukraine. You would already know these things, right? And so I think we all would get really, really bored already knowing what's going to happen. It's kind of like reading the end of the book and then reading the book. Has anybody did that? I used to do that when I was younger. I'm like, I'm going to find out what happens at the end. So I read the end of the book and then I'm like, wait, but then like, what's the point of reading the book, right? So I don't want to know what happens at the end of this book. I want to experience the book. I want to go on the adventure of the book. Maybe sometimes the adventures are a little too intense, right? And so with that, be prepared. The other preparation is your health, right? So how do you feel if you have a home cooked meal? How does that make you feel? Do you feel like you got put in good nutrition in your body? Do you feel like you gave your body the fuel that it needs to perform? And then look at the other side. How do you feel if you skip breakfast, which I do because I fast, but then you have nothing to eat for lunch, so you eat something bad for lunch, and then you pick bad snacks? How do you feel? Do you feel energetic? One of my new staff told me that she felt hangry. I'm like, okay, we can't have you hangry with patients, right? How do you serve if you are not fueling your body properly? So we can be prepared with what we eat, how we eat, and your current health status. So Alyssa says, haha, sometimes I still do that because I just have to know. Okay, so she reads the end of the book because she has to know. And that's totally okay. One of the biggest questions that I get probably every single week with patients is, Dr. Plummer, what about water? Like, what do I do with water? What's the best water? What's the best filtration? What would you recommend as the best water? And what I would recommend is, I like spring water and well water in most cases over city water. Why? One of my patients worked for one of the local municipalities, and he was in charge of water, right? So he taught me a lot about water. I love learning things from patients because I'm not an expert in every field, right? And so he was telling me with city water, they release a certain amount of chemicals. And then every so often, and chemicals are good, which is going to sound weird coming from me, but chemicals kill bacteria and parasites, and it sanitizes the poop in the water, because you don't want to drink poopy water, because then you'll get sick, right? So there's a time and a place for chemicals. And if you're drinking city water, you want to have chemicals in the water because it kills dangerous bacteria or parasites or that kind of thing. The bad thing about chemicals in the water is that it also could be too much. So there's times where they do what's called a burn. And a burn is where, for whatever reason, they turn up the amount of chemicals and it burns. It extremely sanitizes the water. Well, the problem is that if you're drinking burn water, right? Sounds like burn notice. If you're drinking burn water, it could have high levels of chlorine. Well, what's the problem with high levels of chlorine? Chlorine destroys the thyroid gland. Chlorine pushes iodine out of the thyroid. You have to have iodine for normal thyroid function. If you don't have iodine, your thyroid won't survive, right? And the thyroid, as we know, controls weight gain. It controls weight loss. It controls how much energy you have. It controls if you're really, really tired right now. It controls hormones, whether you're male or female. It controls whether you feel too hot or you feel too cold, and definitely can have an effect on fertility, right? So too much chlorine in your environment can negatively affect your thyroid. Too much fluoride in your water supply can negatively affect brain function. Too much pharmaceutical drugs. There were some studies done, and they found that in England had, at the time of the study, and I don't know if they still win this award, but it's a bad award to win, that England had high levels of antidepressants in their water supply. What does that mean? It means that people flushed their medications, or people just peed medications, right? Because you pee out chemicals. And then there was it was a detectable high amount of antidepressants in their water, right? So then what do you do? Like, what's the solution? So Desiree's saying Berkey and a whole house filter. There's different levels of filters. So back in the day when I was a poor college student, I had the Brita pitcher, right? The Brita pitcher was in our refrigerator, and that was 1,000,000 times better than drinking Atlanta water or San Jose water or South Carolina water or Phoenix, Arizona municipal water, right? So the Brita is a carbon-based filter, and at least it gave me some filtration. At least it improved the water a little bit, right? Is it the best filter in the world? Absolutely not. But does it filter? Yeah, it does filter. The next level up may be, like Desiree said, a Berkey filter. So they have the Berkey filters, that the big stainless steel. The nice thing about those filters is, God forbid, we lost water, we lost power. That filter could still filter without power, right? Does it catch everything? No, it doesn't catch everything. Is it a fast filtration system? Nope, it's not fast. How long does the filter last? That depends on who you ask, right? Then we have the people that love reverse osmosis, right? Or RO water, reverse osmosis water. Reverse osmosis takes everything out of the water. It takes the medications, the chlorine, the fluoride. It takes particles. It takes the majority of things out of the water, including minerals. You need minerals in your water. You need electrolytes in your water so your body can absorb the hydration. Many Americans are dehydrated. Many people in the world are dehydrated because they're not getting enough good minerals in their system. And so they're drinking water and they just get really puffy. And so I've had patients where they're drinking, like female patients where they're drinking 2 gallons of water and their face is puffy and their fingers, their rings don't fit, their rings are puffy, their ankles are swollen, not because of lack of water, but because of lack of water absorption. Okay, so if you have reverse osmosis water, you can use products from Cellcore like CT Minerals, and the CT Minerals can put minerals back in the water, right? And we can actually test you to see how much CT Minerals you need per gallon of water or glass of water. A lot of docs like distillation, so we have a distillation machine. And distillation also will remove everything from the water, right? So if you're in an area and your water supply is really polluted, it's going to remove the chemicals, the metals, the pharmaceuticals. It's going to remove everything. It takes everything out in that distillation process, including the good minerals. So again, you need to add minerals back. So if you're drinking reverse osmosis water, if you're drinking distilled water, you have to put good minerals back. My favorite mineral to put back is Cellcore CT Minerals. Cellcore CT Minerals, okay? And so there's a lot of confusion on water. How much water should you drink? Should you have your standard 8 glasses a day? Should you have more? Should you have less? There's an increase in patients that have hypo, meaning lowered, hyponatremia. Hyponatremia. And I think that's happening for 2 reasons. And you guys can let me know if you're seeing this too. So hypo means less. Natremia stands for sodium. Na is sodium, salt. So they have low salt. Salt is not bad for you. You have a channel in your cells, every cell of your body, right? So cells that group together form tissues. Tissues that group together form organs. Organs that come together form systems, right? So you have cells in your body and they have pumps in there called sodium potassium pumps. They function on pumps. Guess what happens if you don't have enough sodium? Your cell cannot process properly. Guess what happens if you don't have enough potassium? Same thing. So when some doctors say that sodium is bad, I don't understand, because we learned in physiology that you have to have sodium and potassium for the cells of your body, for the tissues of your body, for the organs of the body, for the systems of the body to function properly. That's right, Alice, a sodium potassium pump. So if you don't have enough good salt, so those of you that are eating more high fats, like a keto diet, your salt intake is going to go up. And so when I was doing a lot of keto in the beginning, I had to take good sea salt and put like a little, pile on my plate and dunk my food in it. And when I did that, I felt great. If I didn't have enough good sea salt or enough good minerals, I was exhausted. Some of you guys are exhausted not because your day was hard. You're exhausted because you don't have enough good salt, okay? Now, when doctors talk about salt being bad, they're talking about table salt. Table salt doesn't have any minerals. Table salt is bleached. Table salt is just salt, which will make you puffy, which can cause inflammation, which can cause ankle swelling, finger swelling, tummy swelling, that kind of stuff. So there is a question on shower filters and whole home filters. Well, that's kind of a tongue twister. So yes, Lisa, I like real salt. So shower filters. So say that you cannot afford to get, so the best is a whole house filter, right? Say that you cannot afford to get a whole house filter. Why would you want one? You would want one because if you're on city water, what you bathe with, hopefully you're taking warm showers, right? If you're taking a warm bath or a warm shower or a hot shower, that opens up the pores, and then chlorine goes into those pores, and you're absorbing chemicals from your showering water. If you can get a whole house filter, it'll filter your water, it'll filter your cooking water, it'll filter your bathing water, right? To me, it's kind of crazy to buy organic food and then wash your organic food or soak your organic vegetables in city water. I'm like, you just took food that you paid more money for to have less chemicals and you soaked it in chemicals. Isn't that crazy? So instead you want it, if you have a whole house filter, then that will filter your drinking water, your cooking water, your bathing water. What kind do I like? We used to recommend Big Blue from Culligan. I don't know what is the best home house filtration system anymore. I do need to do research for you guys on that. Shower filter. So say you can't afford a whole house filter or a whole home filter, then you could get a shower filter. So there's on Amazon, on Mercola, at Home Depot, at Lowe's, they have the filters where you unscrew your shower head, you screw on the filter, and it'll filter your water. Now, what about the bathtub? There are filters for the bathtub, but I would suggest that you just fill the bathtub with the shower head, right? If you have a setup like that. So yeah, so Alice, brushing your teeth. If you're doing that with city water, you're getting chlorine, you could be getting fluoride, you could be getting pharmaceuticals, and something really disgusting, and some of you guys are going to be really grossed out right now, is that you may also be getting particles of toilet paper. So they can't filter out the little pieces of toilet paper and other undesirables. Pretty gross. For the whole home filter, you guys try saying that. That's a tongue twister. For the whole home filter, would you use the UV filter attached as well? That's a good question. I don't know about the home health filters with UV. We just had maintenance done on our air conditioner, which is very important to do, by the way. You want to have your air conditioning unit serviced throughout the year, so it does not have any backup of mold. It doesn't have any clogged drainage. So there are some people who their outside return clogs. It doesn't drain properly. It backs up into the unit and can flood your ceiling, can flood your closet, can flood your garage, and cause mold problems, okay? So if you haven't serviced your air unit, it is completely worth it to get your air conditioning unit serviced. Now, some of you guys are laughing hysterically at me right now because you're in a whole bunch of snow. Now is the perfect time to do that. Don't wait till the spring or summer, because that's when the service guys and girls get really busy. So if you do it now in the winter, those of you that are in winter, you can get your air handler serviced and make sure that the coils are clean, make sure that it's functioning properly. They do maintenance on it, so when spring and summer hit, your unit's going to function properly and it's going to be healthy. So UV light on an air conditioning unit, I totally like, because it kills particles in the air. Your bacteria, your viruses, any airborne particles will be killed by that. So I do like that. I would assume the same thing for UV. I just don't know to what extent and how fast that UV light will hit that water. So I have to study more on that. Hypo had a well that leaked E. coli. Ooh, that's not good. That's not good. Heather says, going to put some bleach in mine. Bleach in your what? I swear Dr. Neen said he knows a guy and wants to have him on who does whole home filters. Yes. So there is a doctor named, now that I said it, do I remember? Oh man, I can see his face. So he does home house filters, and he actually will, depending on what is in your water, can filter out specific things, because different regions have specific things. Winston KO, so KAO, Winston KO. He actually developed the filtration system for the Tampa Zoo. Why would we care about Tampa Zoo? Well, how much do you think an elephant costs? Do you think that's like $100 animal, $1,000 animal, a $10,000 animal, $1 million animal? My understanding is that elephants cost $1 million. That is a big, big animal. And did you know that with zoo animals, they feed them organic? Why do they feed zoo animals organic? Because they know if they give the animals proper nutrition and the best quality food, they're going to have healthy animals. And keep in mind, some zoos have endangered species, right? So they have to take really good care of these animals, because they're some of the last of these type of animals on Earth, which is really crazy when you think about it. So they feed them organic foods, and then they filter their water. So Winston KO makes the filtration system for the Tampa Zoo. And some of the people that work at the zoo say it's like the best water ever. And they actually take water home with them because it filters out the chemicals, it filters out pharmaceuticals, it filters out anything that you would not want to have in your water supply. All right, so Alice found the link. So yes, idealearthwater.com. We do not have his system. It is not cheap. It's thousands of dollars. But my patients that do have it like him. And I do have a patient that doesn't like it. So just a heads up. So that is an option. Heather is putting bleach in my air. Heather says she's putting bleach in her air conditioner to clean out the drain tube. We had a service last year and we were told to do it every 6 months. Yes. So chlorine does kill mold. Chlorine does kill the funk that accumulates in your drainage. And so our service tech also recommended to flood the line and put some bleach in that line and dilute it. Okay, Heather Ryan Kim says they use vinegar. Cool. So vinegar is also an acid. Chlorine is an acid. Vinegar is acetic acid, and it is an acid as well. Okay. All right, so what's up with this women's health? So I keep forgetting, and I'm hoping I remember, on Thursday, I'm going to do a special seminar for the office on the Palm Rancho Health Facebook page on women's health. And I had a mom come in today. She was so cool. She drove 3 hours to come see us. We have people fly in from all over the place to see us. And then we have our Central Floridians as well. And so she's such a typical mom. And what do I mean by this, right? So she came in to help her son. And she's like, well, I really want to get my daughter on a program with you for quantum nutrition testing. And I really want to get myself on a program for quantum nutrition testing. So she goes through her history where we gather all of her information. We do some special tests in the office. So Hyla did her son's quantum nutrition testing and found causes to his problems, which were really interesting. One of them being parasitic. And so I was helping her with the case because usually kids his age do not muscle test well. So I was acting as what we call an indirect tester and helping her. And he was so irritable and aggravated, he actually hit me. So he doesn't even know the story. I got hit by a little patient today. He didn't hit me hard, but he was looking for me to react. And so I said, look, we don't do that. We don't do that here. It's not okay to hit me. But I do understand that what we found on you is parasites. And sometimes parasites can make you grumpy or irritable or even aggressive. And so I assured his mom, I'm like, look, your son is not an aggressive kid. Your son is not an irritable kid. Your son is not a grouchy kid. So if you describe your kid with any of those adjectives, or yourself or your spouse, that is not who they are. We're not born being grouchy, irritable, or any of those, aggressive, right? That happens when the body's not working right. If you're hangry, your body is not working right, right? You should be able to fast and not be hangry. Hangry is hungry and angry, right? And so through the testing, we found that he had an immune challenge, and we found that immune challenge was parasitic. And so as soon as we found that, I'm like, well, no wonder why he's being aggressive with me. No wonder why he can't sit still. No wonder why he's acting this way. No wonder why his mom's probably having difficulty with him. Not because she has not because she is lacking in parenting skills, but more so it's because he's got bugs, and kids with bugs are not fun to deal with, right? It's really not fun. And so we're going to give him some homeopathics and he's going to be fine. But when it came to end his visit today, his mom was buying his supplements and getting him on a membership and getting him taken care of. I was like, okay, Mrs. So-and-so, you let me know that you wanted to get on a program with us. And she said the classic mom line. She said, well, Dr. Palmer, I care about my son and I'm here for my son. And I want to make sure that my son gets better. And when my son gets better, and then I'll work on my daughter. And then when my daughter gets better, then I'll get on a program. And that is like the classic mom line, right? Moms, we're so loving and we're so caring. And sometimes we're martyrs, right? And we're tough, right? So like a dad has a headache, no offense guys, but a dad has a headache. They're like rolling around in bed, maybe just my guy, but I hear this from female patients that their husband gets a headache and they're like rolling around in bed like they're dying. And a mom has a headache and she is cooking and cleaning and doing this and doing that and just surviving, right? Because we take care of the family, right? Not to be stereotypical, but typically the mom's the nurturer. Typically the mom takes care of the sick kids. Typically the mom is handling cooking, although there's some really awesome guys that also help cook. Dr. Dean helps me cook too. He's the grill master. And so to me, if you look at first aid, or if you look at rescuing, if you look at survival, if you look at flying, right? What do they tell you when there's less oxygen in the cabin? What do they say? Do they say put the mask on your kids first, or they say put the mask on you first? What do they say about that? Well, they tend to say, they being the flight attendants that are trained in emergency procedures to keep you safe, right? They tell you that you put the mask on yourself first, and then you put the mask on your kids. Why? Well, what if you're putting the mask on your kids and the oxygen levels drop so low that you pass out? So then now you have two victims, right? You have two problems. So in most first aid and most survival and most of those emergency type of personnel is you secure the scene, right? So when I was in sports medicine, I had to secure the scene and secure myself before I could help an injured athlete. When I was working rugby, I could have an injured athlete. A lot of times rugby injuries were like blood, right? So like split open heads, split open faces, missing like mouth laceration, lots of blood on the face, right? If the face gets cut, it bleeds a lot. If the head gets cut, it bleeds a lot. So a lot of blood injuries in rugby. So I would work the sidelines. My first degree is in sports medicine. So I'd be on the sidelines and I'd be charged of the health and safety of the athletes. And so sometimes I was working with a team, as a team, sports medicine team, and sometimes I was the only person on the sideline. And so in rugby, luckily there was a team of us, but if someone got injured, we had to get safely to the athlete. In rugby, they do not stop the play. So in soccer, in football, in ice hockey, in basketball, in whatever, they stop the play. They blow the whistle. They stop the game if somebody's injured. In rugby, they don't. In rugby, the play continues until the play ends, and then they stop the play for the injured. They stop the game for the injured person, right? So there's times where someone might be unconscious or bleeding a lot, and I have to run out on the rugby field and look like I'm crossing traffic so I don't get taken out, right? Because if a big rugby dude hits me and I'm injured, now I can't help the injured person. When I worked college ice hockey, same thing. If I have to get out on the ice, I'm a Florida girl. I don't know how to walk on ice. Dr. Dean laughs at me if there's ice. I walk like an old lady, he says. So I told the guys, I said, look, if there's an injury on the ice and I have to get out on the ice, one of you guys is going to skate me. I'm going to hold on. You're going to skate me to the injured athlete, because if I fall trying to help the injured athlete, now there's two people that are injured, right? So moms, please, if you know something's not right with you, don't tell me, hey, just work on my son, or hey, just work on my kid, or hey, just work on grandma, or hey, just work on. We need to get you strong and healthy, because the cool thing that happens is as we improve mama's health, guess who else's health we improve? We improve the spouse's health. We improve the other kids' health. We improve future generations' health. We even improve parental units, right? I said parental unit. We even improve your parents' health, because what you learn in improving your own health trickles down into multiple generations. And that is the coolest thing. That is really, really cool. So what I want to leave you guys with is women's health is just not about periods and hot flashes and fertility and stuff like that. Women's health is about getting mama healthy, teaching mama how to improve the health of the family, right? Because if we can teach the family how to eat, like my daughter, she doesn't know what the kids menu is, right? She thinks the kids menu is just this thing that you color. She doesn't think that there's food that you order off of that. Why? Because she typically orders off the regular menu. Why do we feed kids mac and cheese and chicken nuggets and spaghetti and crappy food when they are growing their organs and their systems and their bones, right? Why are we feeding kids the crappiest food? Because they like it. They like it because it's easy to digest. They like it because it's filled with carbs. They like it because it's sugary. They don't like it because it improves their health, right? So for the longest time, my daughter didn't even understand what a kid's menu was, right? She just ate what we ate, or a lot of times I would just share with her. Now she knows what a kid's menu is just because she likes to color them and she can read now. So she reads it and she's like, Mommy, where's like the steak and where's the chicken? Why is this all like macaroni and cheese and pizza? Like, what's going on here? All right. So Heather says, my dad always tells me you are the most important person in your life, not your husband, not your children, you. Your dad, Heather, is a smart man because he knows that you take care of all these other people and you probably would help your dad if your dad needed help too. Moms usually do the grocery shopping. My motto is if I don't buy it, they can't eat it. That is really smart, Heather. So I have some moms that tell me, well, I don't know what to do because my kid just wants to eat the cookies and wants to eat the chocolate and wants to eat ice cream and eats all these carbs. And I'm like, well, who's buying it? Is the kid going to the store and buying the stuff? I used to, right? I used to save my money from babysitting. And there was in Miami, there's our neighborhood Endon. And then there's a busy street, some of you guys know, called US 1. And US 1 had this really cool Christmas store in it, which, by the way, was the most fun place to play hide and go seek, because they had like all these Christmas trees set up and it was dark and it had lights and it was super fun. And we totally played in the store and they probably didn't like us. But also they had candy machines. So we would take our change and we would buy all the stuff my mom wouldn't buy. And so I didn't eat the crappy candy and the cookies and the chips and the soda because my mom didn't buy that. But when I got older and I realized, hey, I have money, I bought it, right? So Heather, you're absolutely right. If it's not in the house, you're not going to eat it. You're not going to eat it and your family's not going to eat it. Can they get it from outside sources? They absolutely can. Alyssa says, that's not just life-changing, that changes generations. Yeah, absolutely. So you get mama trained, right? You get her doing better. You just improve her health, right? So a lot of times I just improve mama's health, kind of like you, Alyssa, right? I improve Alyssa's health, and then that positively affects her husband, that positively affects her kids, that positively affects her friends and her neighbors and all that. And then we take it the next step and we train you in quantum nutrition testing, which is the testing that we do at the office. And we teach you how to test for food problems. We teach you how to test for bugs. We teach you how to test for chemicals and metals and various different things. And then you not only improve your health, but you can test and improve the health around people around you, which is so cool. Awesome. Yes, Alyssa. Yes. So I just want to leave you with that. My hope and my prayer and my intent is to give you guys some tools when I go live, give you some tools on what you can do to improve your family's health, what you can do to be prepared, what you can do to not feel the effect or not feel there's nothing that you can do about it, right? What you can do to positively affect the future generations. So that's the purpose. That's what we're doing. All right. So I'll take questions and then I'm going to run and take care of my family. Let's see. Karen says, quick question regarding the Berkey. So Berkey is a company that makes filtration systems. I've recently been reading that their fluoride filter leaches aluminum into water. Is that true? Should we be using this filter? I don't know, Karen. So I don't know if that company's been compromised. I don't know. I know at one point it was difficult to get the replacement filters. So I'm not sure. I don't know. So that is a good question, and I don't have the answer to that. If you wanted to totally filter your water so there was nothing in it, distillation is what you would do. But just remember, if you're going to do distillation, you got to put a good source of minerals back in. You can't drink mineral depleted water. And then you have to be careful. As something else I should talk about. So thank you for triggering my thought on this. Is distilled water can pull toxins out of you. So distilled water can detox you. So Dr. Dean and I have a machine, and when we first got it, he was drinking, and I didn't know he was giving me distilled water. And I said, honey, I said, we can't go from well water, spring water, because our well is on a spring, right? Or near a spring, I guess is a better way of saying that. We can't go from that kind of water to distilled water, because we're going from water with nutrients in it to water or minerals with it to water with nothing in it. And so that will pull toxins out of you, which some of you guys are like, what's wrong with that? Well, if you do it too quickly, guess how you feel? You feel sick, right? Because it's detoxing too fast. So if you're going to switch to distilled water, I would suggest like doing it on a gradient, like a little bit of maybe a cup of distilled water, and then slowly increase your distilled water. The other thing with that is if you're going to do any kind of sinus rinses, you want to be using filtered water. You don't want to stick city water up your sinuses. So if you're using that little teapot looking thing, that's called a neti pot, you want to use filtered water. If you're using a Navage, which is a battery powered sinus cleanser, it shoots water in one nostril and pulls it out the other and pulls the funk into a tank, which is so interesting and also so disgusting. We've seen parasites come out like that. You want to be using distilled water, in the very least filtered water. Okay, cool. All right, awesome, guys. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me tonight on War, Water, and Women's Health. If you want to hear more on women's health, join me live this Thursday at 7 p.m. on the Palmer Natural Health Facebook page. Thank you guys so much. I hope you have a great week. I'm Dr. Lisa Palmer, Dr. Mama Bear. Good night.